The Hall of Fame game is currently happening. There's actually news from it, but more important news, more exciting news. Yes, you are reading this correctly. We are in our usual suit. I am usually ready to hop in a random underdog draft, but we have something a little special here. We made the announcement today in the video that we are signing a 3-year deal with Underdog. Been with them for years. Couldn't be more happy about it. And they are launching an exclusive Flock Fantasy tournament. $10 buy-in, $44,000 prize pool. It's only a 3 max entry, so you can only enter it 3 times. I'm hoping we can do a couple of these. 10,000 for first, 5,000 for second, all the way down the line. I'll explain a little bit more of the league settings, but let's get in this draft right now. Could not be more excited to draft with you. And yeah, I mean, it's been live for an hour and already 700 teams have been drafted. So it's filling quickly, and I want to thank you for that. And I can immediately see that we have some members of the flock out in this draft with us. We have Lee Watley out here at pick 6. We have Kickers Lives Matter in at pick 5. And let me know if you made it in. But super exciting. Suggs saying Davis Mills the GOAT. Davis Mills, not necessarily the GOAT. There is something to talk about with the game going on, and it's not in Houston. But Gobbler asking how to win the contest. Now, I wish I knew how to do that. You draft good players, I'll say that. But let me explain the structure of this Underdog tournament. This is a structure that we all came up with in the live stream together. Here, you're going to be drafting with your 11 other guys. It's going to be a 12-person league from weeks 1 through 14. Whoever has the highest total points scored in weeks 1 through 14 will advance to the fantasy football playoffs. And there, you are going to have a 1-to-1 matchup in week 15, just like a regular fantasy football league. Now, obviously, still going to be best ball. You don't submit your starting lineup. But 1-to-1 matchup in week 15. If you advance, it's another 1-to-1 matchup in week 16. And then in week 17, you have a 100-team final. So, super exciting. And I am probably not going to draft all 3 teams tonight, so we can save a couple drafts to draft with y'all later. But yeah, I mean, I am freaking pumped. Obviously, thank you, Underdog, for everything. Underdog, by far and away my favorite place to draft. And yeah, we have so much going on right now. But Gadarius Tony says, didn't get in yours, but got in one with Scissors. I actually saw Scissors submitted a fantasy football team for us to look at later on, but happy to see him out here. Jamie in at pick 10, Doc in the overflow. But let's go through. Pete got pick 7 in the other lobby. And like I said, I know Lee Watley's in here at 6. Zoomer Jake says he's out here at 10. But let's go ahead and let's move this over. We are going to take Breece Hall over Bijan Robinson. Talked about this a lot, but if you are looking at Breece Hall, you have another year removed from the torn ACL. You have a massive quarterback bump from Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers. Offensive line investments. I think Breece is a smash pick over Bijan here. But thank you, everybody, for hopping in with us. And yes, I'll post my wide receiver rankings. And after this live stream, I'm also going to be sending out version 1 of the draft guide. I'm going to be posting it on flockfantasy.com. It just got sent to me 5 minutes before this stream started. We're going to be posting. Oh, yeah. Zach is the one who finished the draft guide for us. He sent me that message about 5 minutes ago saying draft guide's done. We're going to post it on flockfantasy.com. I will email it to everybody who had signed up to Underdog Fantasy with code FLOCK in 2024. And obviously, it's not too late. If you still want it, you can sign up to Underdog Fantasy with code FLOCK. But let's move this over. Okay. Now, Harrison goes 15. Debo goes 14. So, don't have official Ayuk news. I was hoping we are either going to get an Ayuk extension announcement or we are going to get an Ayuk trade deal announced. I was hoping we were going to get something. Sadly, we've had nothing, but hopefully tomorrow we'll get some Ayuk news and we'll have some more clarity on what we're going to do with these Niners guys. But yes, Debo is rising. Desire Best asking if we think the Flock tournament will fill by tomorrow. I have no idea because it's only a 3-team entry. But of course, real quick, if you don't know about what's going on, we have so much to talk about. Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins injury. We have so much to talk about in this live stream. We are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. That's where I've drafted every single day for years and years and years. That's where I'm going to draft every single day for years and years and years going into the future. By far and away my favorite place to draft. It's best ball, so no time commitment during the season. It's how I draft hundreds of teams every offseason. It's how I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And of course, if you wanted to join a draft with us, I'm doing this every single night. You can find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. If you use code FLOCK, you will get my 2024 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. If you use code FLOCK, you'll get my 2024 Fantasy Football Rankings and Tiers. And if you use code FLOCK, you will get a deposit bonus up to $250. And what we also got hooked up with a special announcement for the Underdog deal that we just had, as well as the new tournament, is anybody who has ever used code FLOCK on Underdog, whether it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, yesterday, today, tomorrow, a week from now, you're going to get a CMC special pick'em, more than less than half a total rushing yard against the Jets for week 1. So yeah, so much going on. Super thankful for Underdog to hook not only myself up with everything, but y'all up with everything. And yeah, make sure you take advantage and support us with that link in the live chat description comment section. And draft guide's done. The draft guide is going to be, like I said, emailed every single week. If you use code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, every single week until the season starts, you are going to be getting an updated version of our draft guide. We are going to go Stefon Diggs here. We're going to go with a Houston double stack with Nico and Diggs. You're going to get the first email tonight to whatever email address you had used when you signed up to Underdog Fantasy in 2024. You'll get an email address with our draft guide. You'll get an email with our draft guide. And like I said, that's going to be updated weekly for injury news, for trade news, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, we do have injury news coming out regarding DeAndre Hopkins. If you look at DeAndre Hopkins, 4 to 6 weeks for the timeline, which puts him back. Maybe he's going to go week 1. Maybe he misses a few weeks. He's going into year 12 or 13 of his NFL. He's going into year 12 of his NFL career. So seeing a knee injury where you're already in a very bad offense, you're already an aging receiver that's been on the decline. DeAndre Hopkins has to fall dramatically. Calvin Ridley has to get a bump up. Will Levis becomes less exciting. And I'm very interested to see where these Tennessee Titans go now in this draft. I've already been avoiding the Tennessee Titans receivers just because how bad this offense should be. But we'll see. We'll see where things fall. Okay. Trustlock says, what's the difference between the two Flock subscriptions? So the Flocker tier, if you sign up for the Mother Flocker tier on flockfantasy.com and you're an annual sub, you get a free team review every season. So you can submit your team. If you use code FLOCK, submit your team to me, and I'll break it down in a podcast or a live stream for you. And yeah, we're going to do a bunch of team reviews on the live stream this year. And also you get access to draft guides. Yes, Josh Jacobs' groin injury as well, which is a little frustrating. I saw some people saying something about Sam Howell. Desire Best asked for Geno news. I'll pull up. I didn't see anything regarding Geno Smith. Oh, we have to talk about this Hall of Fame game too, because there's news regarding this. Okay. Amari goes, I'm not going to take all 3 Texans receivers, just not doing it. So instead, we're probably going to take T. Higgins. It was probably a mistake for us to go Stefon Diggs where we did, because when we go Stefon Diggs, it kind of locks us into a CJ Stroud build, where typically I'd want to go Josh Allen in round 4. But now that we have Nico and Diggs, we're kind of forced to go Stroud. So I don't know if Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts is the play. Now, let me see what the deal here is with Geno Smith. Well, Geno Smith is hurt. Sam Howell's QB1 for now. Is going to get imaging to see a doctor. Doesn't sound like he'll practice tomorrow. Been told it's his knee and hip. Missed the 2nd straight practice today. So out indefinitely. Dear God. Let me see what my Seattle exposures are. My phone's not even in here. This may be an issue. Yeah, I'm going to have to text the girlfriend. Oh, I hope that we do not have too much Geno. I definitely am underweight DK Metcalf. I'm probably underweight JSN as well. I think I'm overweight Tyler Lockett. I don't know about Geno Smith, though. Evan says, I feel like Howell will be good for Seattle receivers. I mean, obviously, Sam Howell's at the top of the NFL. And and Justin Herbert's hurt. There's so much freaking to talk about. Yeah, I need to record some emergency stuff. We have Roshan Khalil Herbert news. Okay. But Sam Howell, yes, was at the top of the NFL in pass attempts last season. That may have just been a situation with the coaching staff in Washington, and I don't know if that's predictive of the passing volume we should expect with Sam Howell in Seattle. I don't know if it's a one-for-one carryover. Now, thinking about the impact, I would assume that it's a negative impact on the receivers. It's not horrible. It's not like Geno's phenomenal. Geno's definitely the better rusher, so I'd rather have Geno in fantasy than Sam Howell. For the receivers, I don't think it's the end of the world, but I would say it's probably a downgrade. At least in my mind it is. Hollywood goes. I'm actually going to reach on Ridley here, given the DeAndre Hopkins news. Could be a very bad Calvin Ridley selection. Could be very bad. Could be overreacting. But yeah, let's talk about Roshan Khalil. So if you looked at the first drive that you had in this Hall of Fame game, obviously we don't want to be overreacting. But the first drive that you had in the Hall of Fame game, it did look like Roshan was playing over Khalil Herbert. God dang, there's so much news. Harbaugh's just said that. Thank you. Can I get a cup of water, please? Harbaugh just said he views Justice Hill as a starter as well. Dear God. Yes, I mean, I am excited about Roshan. But yeah, after this, I have so much to do. One thing that I'm working on that I think is going to be really exciting, I may include this with the email updates that are going to go out to everybody who uses code FLOCK on Underdog. Definitely going to be live on flockfantasy.com tonight. I'm going to put out the draft guide and this data. I'm going through and I'm collecting all the ADP in Underdog drafts, in Yahoo drafts, in ESPN drafts, in sleeper drafts. I'm going to combine every ADP list from every platform and come up with a consensus ADP to hopefully help you in your redraft league this year. So I think it should help a ton. But Roshan believers, we made it. I think you have to say it's good news for Roshan. I don't think there's any other way you can cut it. Gracias. But Rashee Rice goes 62, Chris Godwin 63. So we're going to go with CJ Stroud. Reason being is kickers' lives matter. Took Tank Dell at pick 44. They have no quarterback. So they would have to pass on CJ Stroud in both the 6th and 7th round for us to get CJ Stroud in round 7. So I'm not going to roll the dice, and it's all good. Snipes us on Stroud unstacked. Probably a pretty bad pick from them. I'm not going to tilt super hard over it. I think we have some decent pivots we can go to. One of them being, we'll take George Kittle here and set us up with a potential Brock Purdy stack. But let's go. Already over 1,000 entrants in the Flock Fantasy Tournament, so. Dear God, it's filling fast then. That is filling fast, yes. If you want in the Flock Fantasy Tournament, I would recommend hopping in relatively soon. I'm hoping, especially if it fills in a day or two, that we can do, I'm assuming we can do more. I don't want to guarantee anything. but let's see. Yeah, this bad boy already has over 1,000 entrants out of the possible about 5,000. Okay, Lee says, dang, you screwed me. I wanted Kittle. Well, my guy, you need to be blaming it all good for taking CJ Stroud over us when we had Nico and Diggs. But no, anybody with an Underdog account can play in the Flock Fantasy Tournament. You don't have to have used code Flock. Joel says, is stacking as important in regular redraft as it is in best ball? It's not as important as it is in best ball tournaments, but it's still advantageous. Still, you want to be correlating your bets through your roster. I still look for stacks in redraft and dynasty, but it's not the end all be all in your redraft league. Bryce got Devontae Adams at pick 28 in his Flock draft. That is nuts. Fresh Dollar Bill asking thoughts on the new kickoff rules. I think it's nice that the NFL is trying something new just because kickoff kind of sucks. So who cares? Try to do something to make it better. I would be lying to you if I acted like I was an expert and I knew exactly what to expect, though. Okay, so David Montgomery off the board, pick 72. Blake says, why are the Chiefs wide receivers so low on ADP? Well, Rashee Rice, you have to deal with suspension concerns. Hollywood Brown, I'd make an argument, it's pretty bad. And Xavier Worthy is 165 pounds and a rookie. Not saying that they're not good values. I'm just, if you're asking why they're going this low, I want to give you the concerns that you could potentially have them. Now, Keon Coleman off the board, 73. So Lee Watley gets a massive value on Josh Allen at pick 53. Super close to getting Kincaid at 54, gets sniped, and then doesn't even get to have Keon Coleman on the way back around at 78. Rome falling here in this draft. I wonder how far DeAndre Hopkins is going to fall. Aaron Jones goes 76. Rome goes 77. I would love to take Rome. Let's see. I wonder if Geno gets drafted in this. Brian Thomas goes. I would have been excited to take Brian Thomas. I have no idea what to do. I'm not taking DeAndre Hopkins here in this tournament because it's a brand new one. So it's not like you benefit from a bunch of other teams in the tournament previously taking him at a much higher ADP. I'm probably not taking JSN, at least here, because I don't know who the potential stacking target later on would be. So I'm going to kind of panic and pivot over to Ramondre Stevenson because I really don't know what to do. Kadarius Toney says DeAndre Hopkins went 81 in mine. Please, if you've been in an underdog draft since the DeAndre Hopkins news broke, please let me know where he went in your draft. Where did he go? Kurjaw says Hopkins went 110 in his. Cade says Hopkins at 3% feels good. I checked. I am underweight both Hopkins and Ridley. Like I said previously, typically we're not wanting to take receivers in bad offenses. But I'll check again. I think I was at 5% Hopkins when I checked. Yeah, 5% DeAndre Hopkins, 6% Calvin Ridley. But my entry fees on Calvin Ridley are actually very high. I wonder if I took him in a $500 tournament. And then I'm at 8% Chig, but my entry fees there are extremely high as well. I think I took him in a high dollar tournament. Okay, Hopkins 77 for Loop. Hopkins 73, 81, 91, 69, 80, 84, 80, 77, 81. Well, let's see where he goes in this one. Because JSN falls to 85. Hopkins still available. And 87, just go. We're on pick 88. Lee says 98 in his. Scissor says Hopkins went 100 in a BVM5 I did earlier today. Freaking nuts. If I can get Hopkins there in Best Ball Mania, I'm for sure doing it just because the rest of the field hasn't had access to that. I am not I especially in the Flock tournament, because the Flock tournament just dropped today, I probably wouldn't recommend people to go out of their way and draft DeAndre Hopkins. I have Ridley, though, so I do think we can take Hopkins here at 90 and say, oh, okay, well, what if I'm wrong about the Tennessee Titans offense? What if sportsbooks are wrong and the people hyping up the passing volume are correct? And we can take Hopkins here at 90 and then target Will Levis later for the Tennessee stack. We're going to go for it. I almost think it would have been more valuable for me to pass on him to try to figure out where he's going to go. Honestly, if I didn't have the ability to ask y'all where he went in yours, I probably would have just passed to see if I could get some more data points. But Scissors, I got an email that you submitted a team review. I didn't check it out yet. Is it a dynasty or a redraft? Have you already done your redraft league? Nick says Colin Johnson for whatever reason. Did Colin Johnson just do something in the game? I didn't even know if he was with Houston or Chicago. Funny enough, if y'all don't know this, I actually had a class with Colin Johnson at the University of Texas, and I didn't learn it until like one of the last weeks of the semester. Ooh, I have to text JN. A massive catch by Colin Johnson. Yeah, so here's my Colin Johnson story now that he is, I guess, doing stuff. So I if y'all don't know this, I went, I had 2 degrees at UT. I got a biology degree and I got an exercise science degree. Didn't know if I wanted to go to medical school. Didn't know if I wanted to go to physical therapy school. I was on powerlifting. I was interested in exercise. So I added on the exercise science degree about halfway through my time there. And in one of my exercise science classes, which were honestly kind of BS classes at UT, so much easier than the biology classes. But I took sports psychology, which was one of the coolest classes I'd ever taken. Like, the professor was a little bit, he was like kind of like a preacher in a way, but really cool professor that we had. And this semester I was freaking crushing it. Some semesters I was slacking off. This was a semester in which I wasn't really doing much on YouTube. So I was actually like grinding, good grades, sit in the front of the class, blah, blah, blah. And I sat in the front of the class like for the entire semester. I got up like 2 weeks before. I was like packing my backpack and looked near the back of the hall. And it was maybe like 100 kids in the class. And then Colin Johnson and Devin Duvernay were like putting their books in their bag, which is pretty cool. But Scissor says, first ever Dynasty startup. Hell yes, my guy. Excited to dive into it. Okay. But Tajay Spears off the board. We will go ahead. We will take Cortland Sutton. A falling value at wide receiver. What is kind of nice here about taking Sutton is his quarterback's still available. And right now we're sitting with 0 quarterbacks through the first 9 rounds. I was hoping that we were going to get Joe Burrow on the way back around. But Burrow went pick 100 to the Chase team. Of course, cannot blame the Chase team for taking Burrow pick 100. Phenomenal pick. But yeah, I maybe should have just taken Burrow at 90 instead of DeAndre Hopkins. So now we are definitely on quarterback watch. Taking Sutton gives us another option at QB3, but okay. Rated R Savior says, are you going to the A&M versus Texas game? I would love to go to the A&M versus Texas game, but it's in College Station. And I haven't even gone to a UT game since we got big-ish on YouTube my senior year. My senior year, right before the semester started, like I had a video go off on YouTube, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is now my life. I'm going to start streaming every single day. And then I've streamed every single day during the football season ever since for the past like 4 or 5 years. So I've yet to go to a UT game since the YouTube thing happened, just because during the football season, I'm incredibly busy. I for sure cannot go to any UT game that's not in Austin. But I told my girlfriend I'm going to be more like a normal person this year. I'm not going to stream 200 days in a row. We'll see if I take a day off during the season. That's to be determined. But I told her that I would at least go to a UT game with her this year. Okay. But Pro Shredder, happy to see you, says, don't know if you remember Mason, but it's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. Speaking of our time at UT, the Pro Shredder was out there very, very often with us. But Shaheed goes 112. I mean, obviously, here we are in a situation in which Brock Purdy makes so much sense. This is the reason we go George Kittle whenever we get sniped on CJ Stroud, so we can specifically set ourselves up with the ability to go with another quarterback that we like at a decent cost later on. So we are going to go ahead. We will take Brock Purdy. It will stack up with George Kittle. And now at wide receiver, we have Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Cortland Sutton. Running back, we have Breece Hall, Ramondre Stevenson. Tight end, we have Kittle paired up with Brock Purdy. Okay. Kellen says, that was the clearest your audio has been.
Do y'all want me to talk to y'all like this? I can talk to y'all like this if y'all really want it. Yeah, Brock Purdy was a pretty good selection here.
Okay. Hopefully that was not too disgusting. But yeah, Josh Jacobs did hurt his groin. To be honest with y'all know Jacobs won us a lot of money 2 years ago. Josh Jacobs done a lot of things for us. So when I heard that Josh Jacobs was dealing with a groin injury, I did shoot him a DM. I said, hey, man, I know you're in Green Bay now. It's pretty far flight from Austin. But if you need any rehab, I got you. But, yeah. ASMR, Mason. We got it. A-Rod says Vidal got hurt too. Oh my gosh. I'm about to have to make. Casey says Hopkins just went at 113 in my flock draft. Well, if he's going at 113 in drafts right now, I'll say this. Us taking him at pick 90 is not nearly a big enough discount. ADP 68. I thought 22 picks on a Ridley team maybe made sense, but apparently I was wrong. Michael says, wait, you started early. Did I start early? What time was our stream supposed to be? I thought it was at 8. Did I schedule the stream for 8:30? Oh, dear God, I'm an idiot. Okay, so let's see if Lawrence is in play. We could go Lawrence and then get Gabe Davis on the way back around. The issue is a bunch of people in this draft are actively trying to snipe us. So we're going to play it safe, and instead we will go with Blake Corum at 127. Dear God, apparently I messed up the schedule of this live stream. So I'm going to have to remind you to help me out here. I messed it up. I'm hurting us in the algo. It is what it is. If you want to go down there, hit that like button. It'll help us out a bit, and I would appreciate it for sure. Okay. But, yeah, anyway, after the Blake Corum pick, we have Breece, Ramondre, Blake Corum. Wide receiver, Nico, Diggs, Higgins, Ridley, Hopkins, Sutton. Tight end, we have Kittle paired up with Brock Purdy at quarterback. But oh, yes, there's so much going on. So Geno Smith is apparently cycling in and out of this Miami Dolphins offense. It looks like Jonu's not the clear every down tight ends. Let's see. Yes, let me look up. I completely forgot to look up my Geno exposure. I don't know if I already did this. Like I said, my guess is I'm underweight Metcalf, underweight JSN, overweight Lockett, and I have no idea about Geno. Lockett, I'm at 14%. Buy-ins super high. It looks like I took Lockett in a high-stakes league. Kenneth Walker, 9%. JSN, 8%. Noah Fant, 8%. Geno Smith, 8%. Charbonnet, 7%. Metcalf, 6%. So I am more in on this Seattle offense than I was wanting otherwise. So now what I got to do is I have to hope that, I don't know, maybe Geno Smith's okay and this is nothing. That's what I'm hoping for personally. But Lawrence made it all the way down to 137. All right, what am I doing here? We have Ramadre. I guess we can go Jalen Polk and say possibly go Drake May with the last pick in one of these. Go Will Levis, Drake May, and go with the 3 quarterback builds. But Joel says, do you think Musgrave could put up decent production this year, or does that receiving core have too many mouths to feed? If it wasn't such a spread out offense, Musgrave would go significantly higher in drafts than he does now. So you are going to get a discount on Musgrave because this offense has so many mouths to feed. I am fine taking him in best ball. My issue with Luke Musgrave is I think there will be touchdowns to be scored in Green Bay. I just don't know in your regular redraft league if you're going to be able to figure out when to start him. So I don't know. It's a tough spot. Yeah, you have Kraft. Alex says Kraft tied in 1. But one thing that I found that's very interesting, like I said, I'm putting this together. I'm probably going to send it out in that email for everybody who use code FLOCK on Underdog. I'm also going to post it on the site for sure. But I'm putting together that ADP consensus list, tracking every single fantasy football platform, getting all their ADPs, combining it all into one. What I noticed is in some regular redraft platforms like ESPN and Yahoo, Josh Downs and Jahan Dotson aren't even selected. Like, those are guys that you could just easily grab off of waivers. Yes, and I forgot to talk about Deonta Foreman's injury. There's so much happening. My guy, we're going to get in another draft, don't you worry. But yes, so Deonta Foreman, sadly, hook 'em horns, someone I'm always rooting for, gets helicoptered off, gets put on the backboard. Sounds like it's good. Sounds like he can move all his extremities, last I read. But also, I think we assume that Foreman probably misses some time. Don't know if he's going to go at the beginning of the season. So Jerome Ford is going to be set up to smash the beginning of the year. Because the previous issue that you had with Jerome Ford was that even though you were going to get, say, no Nick Chubb at the beginning of the season, you would still be in a position where Jerome Ford was going to be competing with Deonta Foreman, and Foreman was most likely just going to be like the third down back. But now if there's no Foreman and there's no Chubb, or even if Foreman died, I don't know if Foreman's going to make it. I have no idea. Obviously, I'm just guessing. But Foreman missing that valuable time probably sets up Ford to have an extremely large role at the beginning of the season. So especially in your regular redraft league, where hopefully we're going to be able to hit off running backs off waivers as well. If you wanted to go with the 0 RB builds and go with like Jerome Ford as one of those 0 RB targets that you can cover production at the beginning of the season, would make a ton of sense. Okay. So let's move this down. Yeah, that Colin Johnson catch was sick. Okay. Now, we're probably not going to be going with another receiver too soon from now. Talk Sports says Brown's going to have to bring back Kareem Hunt. Yeah, maybe I run it back and draft some Kareem Hunt this year. Obviously not. That'd be gross, but everybody in on Kareem Hunt. And yes, if you want another draft, go down there, hit that like button. We're going to fire a bunch of drafts today, all right? Based off how fast the Flock tournament's filling, we may do all 3 of our entries tonight. We will see. I can't believe we have a Flock tournament. I'm hoping you're drafting it. I'm hoping that it's fun. What I think will be really cool, just because it's such a different feel than what typically you have in a tournament on Underdog, is when you get to week 15, seeing the team you're going up against. If you make it to the fantasy football playoff tournament, like week 15, it's you versus one team that you get to stress about. And then same thing with week 16. And I already know we're going to have a bunch of people going, oh my gosh, I got unlucky. I played against the best team ever, which is fantasy football, which is why fantasy football is great. Okay. Now, let's move this over. Quarterback, running back, tight ends. This is us. This is us right here. J.K. Dobbins goes pick 160. I know someone mentioned previously that Vidal got injured. I need to figure out what that is. Loop says, so wait, week 15 and 16 are we 1v1s? Yes. Weeks 15 and 16 are 1v1s in the tournament. We're going to go ahead. We are going to take Chuba Hubbard as our running back 5. Hubbard will have a role at the beginning of the season. Somebody that can hopefully help us advance. Obviously not going to give us a ton during the fantasy football playoff tournament itself. But we'll see. Good. The good fellow says, I didn't see anything about Vidal, but I could have missed it. Let me check this out. Okay. Kadarius Tony says, can't wait to get matched up against Mason and beat him in his own tournament. That is really, that is going to be really cool if I can advance. Because keep in mind, I'm not guaranteed to make it to the, only one team out of these 12 teams are going to make it to the week 15 and then week 16, obviously. So if I can make it to week 15, I'll be cool to see who I'm going up against with y'all. Okay. Now, yeah, it looks like there's not much Vidal news. I'll see if I can find anything, but it's looking slim. So 56 minutes ago, Vidal walking inside with the trainer. Yeah, all that there is he went to walk inside with the trainer. But nothing serious right now. Kate says, interested to see where Roschon will get drafted. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to overreact because of a Hall of Fame game, right? But it does look like at the moment, Roschon may be the running back behind DeAndre Swift for this offense. Okay, so I probably will go 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends here, to be honest with you. I wonder if Geno Smith will get drafted. So it's just, this is what makes it so, it's August, baby. It's August. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Will Levis at pick 175. We have Ridley. We have Hopkins. We're hoping something happens. We'll put it that way. We're hoping something happens. Okay. Duke says, my Sam Howell Superflex teams right now. Yes, if you took Sam Howell in some Underdog Superflex tournaments, you're going to be crushing. Like in the one quarterback tournaments, it doesn't matter. But in Superflex, it will make a big deal. Okay, let's move this over. Chart goes 182. I'm pretty sure we're done drafting QB. The team at the end goes with both Steelers guys. Geno goes. It looks like Jonu's going to be really tough to take now. Do we go with Drake May? I think we're going to take... We're going to go Drake May as our QB3. And then we're going to queue up tight end to end this draft. Let me go through and show this team off. We have Brees, Ramadre, Blake Corum, Jaleel, and Chuba at running back. Wide receiver, we have Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Cortland Sutton, Jalen Polk. Quarterback, we have Brock Purdy stacked with Kittle. We have Levis double stacked with Hopkins and Ridley. And we have May stacked with Polk and Ramadre if you care about that. But Cooler Hand says, are there multiple flock drafts? I just joined one. Well, happy to have you drafting with us, my friend. And yes, there will be 4,800 entrants into the flock tournament. There have already been about 1,500. I'm going to make this one more, ladies and gentlemen. We are in here, and I am ready to draft against y'all. Let's move this down. Pick 8. All right, pick 8. We're going to get a player inside the top tier, so we're excited about it. Okay. Judd says, just finished one of these. Feels like my best ball draft ever. Hell yes, my guy. Happy to hear it. Just maybe we get in a sprint after this. Well, we'll see where this tournament's filled. I'm just afraid by the time we're streaming again tomorrow, it's maybe filled and I didn't get all 3 entries in. But Cade in here with us at 7. Let's go. We got Wambu in a first in another draft, Hank in second in another draft, and dear God, I need to pull up to my phone to make sure we're not going to auto in the other flock. Okay. We're going to take Gesicki in the other one. Lamb, Christian McCaffrey, both off the board. Diggs says, I'm in Washington. Oh, I completely forgot to mention, real quick, if you are new to Underdog Fantasy, you do need to be in one of these states if you want to hop in a draft. Good news is it is available in pretty much every state. It's in California. It's in Texas. It's in Florida. It's in Michigan. It's in New York. You can see the map there, but you do need to be in one of those states if you want to draft with us. Okay. Let me move this over. CMC goes at pick 2 in this one. Tyreek at 3. No major surprises here. Chase goes 5. Hall goes 6. So we'll get Bijan. I mean, we started running back round 1 in the other draft where we got Brees, but we'll play around with Bijan here. I mean, I would have definitely preferred Amon-Ra St. Brown. It would have been phenomenal to get St. Brown making it to us today, but it is what it is. Okay. Then A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua. Really the only surprise pick. I mean, there are a couple surprise picks. Jefferson at 4 is earlier than you'd expect. Brees at 6. Usually Brees goes after both Bijan and St. Brown. So this is a little bit of a unique draft. Okay. Puka goes 17. Let's move this over. London at 13. Good for us to see Taylor go just because whenever we do start running back round 1, it's going to be very difficult to make it work going running back round 2 on Underdog in particular. Every once in a while, I'll do it. If we get like Bijan or Brees and then Jahmyr Gibbs making it back to us, I will pull the trigger with that, but it's just tougher to go about it the other way. We're going to have a unique start here. We're going to go with Bijan Robinson and Brandon Ayuk, just so we can have a little bit of a unique team compared to the rest of the field. Is if I look at Ayuk in comparison to like Olave, who's next highest in ADP, I do think that they are kind of neck and neck in the same tier. So it is what it is. Scotty Harper says 3 years watching and finally got in the draft at 5. Hell yes, my friend. Thank you so much for drafting with us. But okay. BLT saying you went Debo 13. I don't know what that means, my friend. But of course, it's not too late if you want to join us on Underdog. You can find the link in the description, in the comment section, in the live chat. If you use code FLOCK, they're going to match your you're going to get a deposit bonus up to $250. Plus, you will get our 2024 fantasy football rankings, our 2024 fantasy football draft guide. And we actually got hooked up. It doesn't matter if you're new to Underdog Fantasy and use code FLOCK. It doesn't matter if you use code FLOCK 3 years ago on Underdog Fantasy. As long as you have FLOCK on your account, we got you hooked up with an exclusive special pick'em, CMC, higher, lower, half a total rushing yard against the Jets week 1. So we can celebrate the tournament dropping. Now, Quaid says, what is your favorite pick and redraft and why? 1, because I think the players at the 2-3 turn are roughly the same as the players that you'd be looking at the beginning of the second round. And I think Christian McCaffrey gives you a higher ceiling than pretty much anybody else in fantasy, and it's not even close. So great news too. It looks like in the email that I'm going to send out for the people who use code FLOCK and Underdog in 2024, I'm going to include, the developers just got back to me. I didn't want to guarantee this before I knew I could. We're going to be able to include, we're going to go Sam Laporta here at 32. We're going to include a custom link where you can get a free 2 weeks on flockfantasy.com, so you can see me every single time I update my rankings. Luke's Log says, can you add Flock if you signed up way back when with no code? I don't think you can add a promo code to an existing account. The table says Garrett Wilson or Puka Nacua, which do you like better? I think you have to go Puka. I know a lot of very smart people are going Garrett Wilson over Puka Nacua, given the fact that Garrett Wilson doesn't have Cooper Kupp playing alongside him. But my thought process is, while Garrett Wilson should improve dramatically with the massive quarterback upgrade that he has, he was the wide receiver 40 last year from a points per game perspective, and Puka Nacua was the best rookie wide receiver of all time. So my lizard brain is going to say, I probably just want Puka Nacua. Diego says, what is the details for your new Underdog contract? Any new fun details? Fun details. I got us hooked up with Flock tournaments, and y'all hooked up with a special pick'em, CMC higher lower. We're going to have multiple special pick'ems for people who use code FLOCK on Underdog. But Isaiah Pacheco goes off the board at pick 40. When we only have one wide receiver through the first 3 rounds, we're going to have to go receiver here. I do really like the idea of going Josh Allen, but we pretty much have no other option once we decide to go Sam Laporta where we do. Okay. Colin says, why Laporta over those other receivers? I personally think that Sam Laporta can outscore Stephon Diggs, Zay Jones, Tank Dell, Michael Pittman Jr. I think Sam Laporta, from a raw fantasy points perspective, can outscore these guys. And obviously, you get those points at tight end. Okay, George Pickens goes pick 44. Let me see how much Khalil Herbert I have. I'm kind of getting worried because I definitely think it's Roshan Johnson. I mean, y'all know I was saying it was Roshan previously. I hope I put my money where my mouth is. I hope that. Browns. Why am I looking at Browns? Bears. Come on. Let me look this up. 13% Roshan, 4% Khalil. Let's go. Let's go. The sad thing about the Hall of Fame game is like Colin Johnson going off is great, but at the same time, I mean, it's great for his NFL career. It has zero impact from a fantasy football perspective. Colin Johnson going off means he's likely to make an NFL team, which is phenomenal news for him. I'm really rooting for him, but he will be nothing in fantasy. Kincaid, Andrews, both off the board in round 5. Etienne goes all the way down to pick 52 here. Derrick Henry's definitely been rising in drafts now that you're getting new people coming into fantasy football drafts again. Am I blind or did Calvin Ridley get drafted? Yeah, Calvin Ridley goes pick 49. Terry McLaurin off the board. I have no idea what to do. I have drafted a lot of Jaden Reed, probably an uncomfortable amount of Jaden Reed. But what we know is very, very simple. We're going to keep it stupid simple here. It is typically a good idea to draft wide receivers going into year 2 that had strong rookie seasons that are in good offenses. For that reason, I'm going to go Jaden Reed. Hollywood looked washed last year. Hollywood hasn't looked good in a very long time. Yeah, Colin Johnson, another touchdown. And Angelo says, why not Keenan Allen? Obviously, because Colin Johnson's going to have the most touchdowns in that offense. Kyle says, it's my second year doing fantasy. I have the 9th pick. What should we do? Also, your lives are a big W. Usually watch the day after. Catching it now. Hell yes, my guy. Thank you. So, can you let me know real quick? Do you know your starting lineup requirements? Don't feel like you have to donate. Just let me know. What are your starting lineup requirements? Quaid says, who are your most drafted rookies at every position? I can pull that up for you, my friend. Probably Trey Benson, running back. Keon Coleman, wide receiver. Or Sticky Ricky, wide receiver, to be honest. We're going to go with an unstacked Anthony Richardson. We can get A.D. Mitchell. We can get Josh Downs later on. And honestly, given the rushing upside, it's not the end of the world having him unstacked. Rookie tight ends, I probably have more Bowers than Ben Sinnott. And then rookie quarterback, I don't know. I can pull that up for you. Daniels, I have 6% Jaden Daniels, 8% Caleb Williams, 8% Drake May, 3% Bo Nix, 5% JJ McCarthy. Am I missing anybody else? I drafted Michael Penix once. I spent $3 in that draft. But anyway, let me see if we know Kyle's question. Kane asking if they should trade their late first for Addison. If it's a one quarterback format, yes. Superflex, don't know. Duke says, got to get the Jaden Daniels up, 6%, question mark. I think Jaden Daniels will have a lower ADP when we have more of the new drafters coming into Underdog closer to the start of the season. I think drafting Jaden Daniels in peak summer, when it's all just the die-hard drafters, I think you're probably paying a little bit of a premium. Evan says, you're missing the Patriots' future starting quarterback, Joe Milton. You're right, my friend. I am. Okay. And Kyle, like I said, my guy, please just let me know what your starting lineup requirements are when you get the chance. If you don't know, that's fine. Just let me know. But if I had that information, I can definitely give you a much better answer. Okay, so based off what y'all are telling me with how DeAndre Hopkins is falling in the other drafts, probably a spot in which I'm not taking DeAndre Hopkins here at pick 80. We took him in the 8th round of the other one when we had Ridley for the double stack with Levis, who we went with. But Najee off. So we're going to go ahead and we will take Brian Thomas as our wide receiver 4. Getting Brian Thomas here, we can go Lawrence later on. And Lawrence typically does go on this side of the draft board. So should be relatively easy. Like I said, DeAndre Hopkins, really tough to draft here given the injury news. And at the same time, I don't know. JSN, it's just difficult taking him, where I don't think it sets us up for a clear quarterback stack later on where there is the uncertainty on if Geno's good. But Cal says, I'm thinking about 3 wide receiver first, kind of like this draft. Okay. So if you're in a league where you have to start 3 wide receivers, you can't really exploit it by going through and just grabbing an elite tight end and an elite quarterback out the gate. Because if you do have to start 3 wide receivers, it's going to be a much more balanced setup if you look at the points that are being accounted for in your starting lineup. I'm actually going to go Joe Burrow here to pair up with T. Higgins. So if you're at pick 9, what I would most likely look at is if any of the guys that win the first 8 picks in this draft fall to you, you have to take them. If St. Brown falls to you at 9, he's an auto pick. If Bijan falls to you at 9, he's an auto pick. The running backs won't fall. It really comes down to will St. Brown, Chase, or Jefferson fall. If one of those guys fall, you auto pick them there. Going into the 1-2 turn, it is difficult because if you're at 9, you are kind of at a teardrop. In a league where you only start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, I more likely than not would go ahead and I'd take Jahmyr Gibbs at pick 9. However, in a league where you start 3 wide receivers, I think you're completely fine to go A.J. Brown. The issue is in your regular redraft league, after your A.J. Brown selection, you will most likely see Gibbs, Taylor, and Barkley all get selected. So then you'll be there at pick 16, and you'll kind of be choosing between the tier wide receivers. I mean, if you get Puka or Garrett Wilson falling to you, you can go ahead. You can take Puka, Garrett Wilson. You can start wide receiver. If your starting lineup requirements have 3 options. And if you can start off A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, I think that will be a very comfortable spot for you. Then going into the late 3rd here, I think you're going to be in your redraft league looking at a wide receiver tier that's more like Devonta Smith, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, in comparison to the Stephon Diggs, Zay Flower, Tank Dell, Michael Pittman range. And at running back, I think you're going to be looking at guys like Josh Jacobs. I think you'll be looking at Joe Mixon, James Cook, even though obviously they go much lower here, but it's just because the wide receivers are pushed up on Underdog. So you know what? Typically, I would actually advise, I probably want to be grabbing a running back in one of the first 2 rounds in your regular redraft league. That way you can set yourself up in a spot where you can slam wide receivers in the middle rounds. At least personally, that's what I would do, my guy. Okay. Brian says, do you think an elite quarterback in the 3rd round is a good move in a 10-team league? I pick 3. I think an elite quarterback in the 3rd round is a phenomenal move in a league where you start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, because quarterback is going to make up an extremely high percentage of your starting lineup output from a week-to-week perspective. If it's a league where you start like 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes, their quarterback's not going to be as important. Wide receiver depth is actually going to matter a little bit more. So I definitely think you need to understand your league settings and try to adjust there if possible. Okay, so Jalen Warren off the board, pick 100. Jaden Daniels goes 102. Great for us to see all these quarterbacks go whenever we went with Burrow as our second quarterback there. Okay, Tony Pollard off. We could take Bowers and only go with 2 tight ends. Y'all know I'm not a big Bowers guy, but he does fall. This would be a little bit of a unique combo. You know what? I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to play it safe. We're going to take Brian Robinson here. We'll go B. Robinson, B. Robinson. All right. Well, we'll get Bijan. We'll get Brian. Hopefully, we can get them on the same page. But if that makes any sense, I'm being stupid. Tommy, always happy to see it, says, let's grade the draft through the first 9 rounds. We have Bijan, Taylor, Pittman. Took Pittman over Diggs. Kelsey, then Richardson is stacked with Pittman. Roman round 6. Stevenson, Samuel. I like everything except the Curtis Samuel selection. For me personally, I think the only reason to go Curtis Samuel there. Actually, let me say, I don't like everything. Let's take that back. I think it's very interesting to start the way that you did. I think you put yourself in a very difficult position to have to go Curtis Samuel because we were so underweight wide receiver at the beginning. I think if you go running back out the gate, round 4, you cannot afford to go Travis Kelce there. And instead in round 4, you probably need to suck it up and take a wide receiver like T. Higgins. Now, if instead of in round 2, you go Taylor, you went with like a Olave, then of course we can get away with going Kelce in round 4. But I think specifically because you go running back, and you're planning on Richardson in round 5 when we take Pittman, I think you probably need to pivot and go wide receiver round 4. Tago says, love seeing your content. Always happy to see you, my friend. Always happy to see you. Tony asking if the draft guide's out. The draft guide is done. Zach was in the live stream with us at the very beginning. He messaged me about 5 minutes before the stream started. He sent me the draft guide. It's in my email. So the second that I end this live stream here, we're going to take Tyler Lockett. The second that I end this stream, I'm going to go to flockfantasy.com. I'm going to post the draft guide. I will add everybody in the Discord, letting them know that it's posted. And then I'm going to go to MailChimp, which is where I have all the emails, and I'm going to send out the email to everybody who signed up to Underdog with code FLOCK in 2024. I'm going to send them the updated draft guide. I'm going to send them the link to access the site for free. It'll be for 2 weeks, but for free. Don't need to put in a credit card or anything. And then also tonight, after I do that, which I'm going to send you all the draft guide first, I will try to, on the site, get up the consensus ADP list that I'm coming up with. It's just taking me a ton of time to make. I've already spent like 3-4 hours on it. I think we have to get the sleeper ADP. We have a little bit more to do with Yahoo than we have to go to sleeper. We're going to get the sleeper. We're going to get the consensus ADP list out on the site. So it's all coming. Like I said, if you use code FLOCK on Underdog in 2024, made a $10 deposit with your account, you will get the email to the email address you signed up to Underdog with. That's the email address that I have. And if you're a member of flockfantasy.com, obviously just go to the post page. You'll see them both. Matt says, is that all the 80 apps ADPs combined? Yes. So what we do there is it's very simple. I mean, there's no secret sauce to it. It just takes a ton of time. Is pulled up a Google sheet, made a column for Sleeper ADP, made a column for ESPN ADP, made a column for Underdog ADP, made a column for Yahoo ADP, and I may do NFL Fantasy ADP. Got the top 200 players, and I'm filling out their ADPs every single cell. Then we're going to average them all out. We're going to sort by the average, and we're going to have the ADP consensus for all major fantasy platforms, which hopefully you can take it to your draft and try to kind of go through and, I mean, every platform has its ADP stopgaps and identify players that could be massive values or severely overrated. Okay. Vinny says, Mason, if Underdog does do another flock draft, can we humbly ask for a 15 or 20 second clock? Yes, we should. Scotty asking us to grade pick 5. We will do that right after I make my own selection, my friend. Smooth this over. Running back definitely in play for us, right? But we do have A.D. Mitchell and no Michael Pittman Jr. So even if the running backs are the best values here, A.D. Mitchell might be the move because we have Richardson and no Pittman. But A.D. Mitchell goes anyway. So it looks like we instead will be going with the running back and then targeting Josh Downs in round 12. Okay. MBS says this contest is a very interesting playoff format. Well done. Thank you, my friend. I think, yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We're going to go with Ezekiel Elliott. What I'm excited about with this is I think if you get to weeks 15, 16, it's going to feel very much like a regular fantasy football league for you where you're going to have that one matchup. And yeah, I think it'll be fun to go up against them. And like stress about it kind of the same way that you would a regular fantasy league. But anyway, let's look at that team at 5. The team at 5 gets Chase, which is pretty unique, especially Olave. Chase, Olave, Kyron love the start out the gate. Round 4, Pickens looks great. James Cook, round 5. The other options are like McLaurin. Yeah, so I'm completely fine going Cook. It would have been phenomenal to get ETN. Christian Watson, pick 68. Evan Ingram. Jordan Love. I personally am probably not a big Evan Ingram fan where you took him. I think I would maybe go wide receiver there. But that's just me because I'm not, that's my personal preference over Ingram. But we get the Love Watson. We get the Lawrence Ingram. Yeah, I love that team, my friend. I mean, that's a great team. It would have been obviously super interesting if ETN made it. Okay. Now, I'm originally green. It says, my league is 2 quarterbacks, 3 receivers, etc. How do I approach quarterback drafting strategy when my league mates aren't treating quarterback as premium position? They treat it like it's a 1 quarterback. Can you let me know how many teams are in your league, my friend? Please let me know how many teams are in your league because that is, you're saying, problem is if I go elite quarterback, there'll be far fewer good running backs or receivers. We're going to go Josh Downs. We have Anthony Richardson unstacked, so we kind of need to go Josh Downs. There's not too much to discuss. But like I said, as I'm making that consensus ADP list for everybody, I have noticed that in like the ESPN Yahoo leagues, Josh Downs and Jahan Dotson are pretty much like undrafted. Uncle Drew got the curse. Pick 9. Journey to the Center of the Universe. Long time no see. Okay, I'm originally green, says 10-team league. This is great to know. If it is a 10-team league and your league mates don't treat quarterback like it's a premium position, you cannot treat quarterback like a premium position even if it's a 2 QB format. If it is a 12-team 2 QB league, you can just look at the supply and demand of the position and say, okay, on average, everybody's going to want 3 quarterbacks, but there aren't enough to go around because there are only 32 starters. If every team had 3, that would be 36 QBs, right? So there are going to be teams of 2, and you can kind of bully, and there will be a trade market where there will always be a team in your league that needs a quarterback. So in a 12-team Superflex league, you can go and kind of hoard the quarterbacks and maybe possibly go through and sell them, especially in like a 14-team league, 16-team league. I've been in 16-team Superflex leagues where if you just go out quarterback with your first 4 picks, all of a sudden everybody's coming in to try to get them. But in your 10-team league, that is very, very different. In your 10-team league, everybody can draft 3 starting quarterbacks, and there will still be 2 extra starters in the league. So there will be teams in your 10-team league with 4 starting quarterbacks, and everybody's going to be trying to sell them, and there's not really going to be anybody to buy. So, yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you're in a 10-team Superflex league and you think your league mates are undervaluing quarterback, you can take the elite guys early, but just don't go and take like Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, thinking you're going to be able to trade him because you won't be able to. Nate Tano says, hey, Mason, when is the draft guide dropping for the flockers? The second that I end this live stream, it's going to be on flockfantasy.com, my friend. The second that it is. And I'm going to be updating the draft guide every single week too. I'll just update it directly on flockfantasy.com. And also for everybody who's getting it through an email, like I said, also the email you're going to get, you will have access to the site. But just all I'm going to ask is reply to the email saying like, hey, I want updates, and you'll get version 2, you'll get version 3, you'll get version 4, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, there'll be a new wide receiver tier list coming soon. I was hoping to get it recorded today for the editor, but I just completely ran out of time with us working on everything else. It's August when I'm back to staying up till midnight. We busy again. It's a good problem to have, but yeah, that's here. Kyle, no, thank you for stopping by and supporting the stream. Appreciate you, my guy. Sticky Ricky goes pick 150. I've drafted a lot of Sticky Ricky, so if Ayuk gets dealt, ooh, thank God. If he doesn't, ooh, I've wasted a lot of picks, wasted a lot of money. Cade goes Chandler. So we are going to get Tyler Algier here. Not taking Algier because we have Bijan for the natural handcuff. I'm not going to avoid Algier with Bijan Robinson. But the reason I'm taking Tyler Algier is before the coaching staff came out and said that he was going to have a large role, I thought that this was going to be a player that was a smash pick at his current cost. And now that the coaching staff's coming out confirming that, he's going to have a role from week to week perspective. I think you'll get some usable weeks in best ball. And I think out of everybody in this range, he has the highest ceiling if we were to see a Bijan Robinson injury. Yeah, and Algier was my most drafted running back at the time the news came out. So I'm freaking pumped. Daryl says, in a Flock Fantasy Underdog League right now. Congrats, man. Thank you so much, my friend. Zylan says, did you see the Sunday ticket lawsuit got overturned? Feel like all the contracts going to get signed now. Interesting take on it. I haven't been following it nearly as much as I probably should have. And yes, we will do another draft in this one if we hit 500 likes on the stream. So if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream, and we'll fire up another draft. Okay, let's move this over. And you know what? This is getting to the time of the year where we're probably going to end up starting to do 4 streams a night on this stream. I think we're most likely going to take Chuba Hubbard here. Just let me think about this for 1 second. Yeah, I think we go Chuba Hubbard. I'm not a big Vidal guy. Chuba Hubbard, we know, is going to have a role at the beginning of the season. If anything were to occur to Jonathan Brooks, where maybe the timeline doesn't look like he comes back in the middle of the year, Chuba Hubbard's a starting running back for the time being. Vidal's at, I don't want to say at best, but looks like the running back 3 at the moment in Los Angeles. Okay. Zylan says the judge overturned the NFL having to pay the $4.7 billion, so the salary cap isn't going to go down. So I knew that the NFL was going to have to pay that, and this shows how stupid I am. This shows how little I know. There was no thought in my brain that went, oh, the NFL is going to have to pay some Sunday ticket, blah, blah, blah. The salary cap's going to go down. Was the salary cap actually going to go down if that happened? Because I have no idea. Okay. Raphael says, what if Miles Sanders comes back? Then I'm screwed. I've actually drafted a lot of Chuba Hubbard. He's my favorite running back in this range. Okay. Duke says the NFL makes trillions. LOL. Now, I'm no mathematician. But Duke? The NFL ain't making trillions. Flock Fantasy, on the other hand, that's a conversation we can have. But Geno goes 169. Let's see how far Vidal falls. Once we take Chuba, we're done with those 5 RBs. We are just wide receiver, tight end. I honestly may go with 3 tight ends just before we take our Actually, no, I don't want to say too much. Okay. Bucky Irving goes 171. Cal says Flock Fantasy will make trillions if he stops drafting Quentin Johnston. That is true. God, I can't. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I've said it for like a month now. I have drafted a decent amount of Quentin Johnston, and it just feels so bad. And it feels worse every single day. And I was literally making videos for God knows how long saying like, oh, don't waste any picks on Quentin Johnston. All the data says he's done. And then I'd get into a draft and see him at wide receiver 70. Go, yeah, I know, but still, maybe. Yeah, Quentin Johnston's my most drafted Charger at 14%. Brutal. I was hoping that we were going to get Cade Otton because Geno Smith now looks a whole lot less appealing. I guess we can go Troy Franklin. We're going to need one more receiver and then 2 more tight ends. Duke says, I am Troy Franklin, Bo Nix drafter. You actually have like Josh Reynolds getting some positive buzz in Denver at the moment. And Troy Franklin has been falling down a bit, but we'll see. The good fella says, I was on the Quentin Johnson train last year. I'm off it this year. I think he will continue to be a bust. So Quentin Johnston, from like a dynasty perspective, I looked at his profile coming out of TCU and I went, broke out at 18 years old, dominated at 19 years old, declared to the NFL after his true junior season. He gets round 1 NFL draft capital. Great prospect. So I actually thought he was a strong prospect. I got lucky that I wasn't drafting him on Underdog last year. Not because I knew that he was some massive bust. Not because I knew that it wasn't going to work out. But last year, there were just other players in that range of the draft that I liked. So naturally, I didn't come away with a lot of them. But yeah, after you see what happened his rookie season and you look at the historical data to see other rookie years that were comparable, you can see that it's a 95% probability that he's not going to be anything. But he just continues to fall. Shrew says, what website do you see what percentage of players that you have? Just go to Underdog, my friend. If you go to Underdog, hit completed. It'll show you all the tournaments that you've ever entered. You can hit 2024 season exposure, and then it'll have a list of all your players in order. You can order it by percentage. You can order it by dollars spent in drafts, and you can search a team, right? So I can search the Vikings and see I'm overweight Vikings in general. Estimate off. We are wide receiver, tight ends. I'm going to go Chig. And maybe he has more targets now that you have the DeAndre Hopkins injury. We need a tight end. I don't know. We'll take him. A-Rod says, what do you consider overweight? For an offense, if I have a bunch of players over 8% exposure, I consider it overweight. For an individual player, I probably consider overweight on them if I'm at like 12% and underweight if I'm at 5 or fewer percent. Lisa says, can you explain why 8% is average? So all Underdog drafts that I do are 12-team leagues. Obviously, not all Underdog drafts are 12-team leagues. You can go and join in the public lobby, some that are a little smaller. But if all the ones that I do are 12-team leagues, we're just going to get out the little nifty calculator, divide 1 by 12. We're going to multiply that by 100. So if you drafted everybody on average, you would have if you drafted everybody equally on average, you would have them at 8.33%. So your average expected exposure should for any individual player should be about 8.33%. So if I have a player in 15% of my drafts, then I have them almost double the amount that I should on average. If I have someone in like 24% of my drafts, I have them triple that amount. If I have them in 4% of drafts, then I have them in half the amount of drafts you'd expect. Tommy says, do we believe Harbaugh's words about Justice Hill? Considering how little Derrick Henry I have, I hope so. I mean, I think it goes to say that Justice Hill is a good round 18 pick. By moving Justice Hill up dramatically, probably not. Like, let's pull up. Cooler says, my flock draft has me way ahead in projections, but that isn't reliable when I have 4 quarterbacks, right? Yeah, so completely ignore the projections that they give you at the end of your draft. At least I personally do. I could be wrong. But it literally is just taking the points that each player is projected for and adding them up. I'll show you the projections that matter on Underdog and the ones that you should ignore. Yeah, Justice Hill. Actually, I don't want to say he's a great 18th round pick. Justice Hill's career high in rushing yards is 387. He's going to his age 27 year. Obviously, he can catch the ball. Derrick Henry's not going to catch the ball at all. That is noteworthy. But what was I saying previously? What were we looking at? I forgot. Now Miller goes 196. Let's move this over. We are wide receiver, tight end. Oh yeah, projections. So the projections like here, you look at Geno Smith, they have Johnny projected for 33.2 points. Don't look at that. What you should be looking at is if you go to the pick'em on Underdog, you'll actually see stuff that you could go higher or lower on. So they have to be pretty damn accurate with these. So you'll see CMC, they have at, say, I'm going to go Jawan Johnson, actually, as our third tight end. But they have CMC for higher, lower, 5.5 receiving touchdowns. Almost 1,200 rushing yards, right? So those projections they have to be pretty accurate with, but the Geno Smith 33-point projection right here doesn't matter at all. And I personally just kind of completely ignore it. And we're going to go with the wide receiver with our last pick. Have we hit 500 likes on this stream? Are we firing up another one after this? Go with Yoshi. Somebody in the chat told me he's called that. We'll see. And a couple random receivers to round this out. But what did I ask y'all? Oh, we hit 500. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's fire up. I was planning on possibly saving it for tomorrow, but by tomorrow night, I don't know if it'll still be around. Hopefully we get another one soon, especially considering the fact that this thing fills in pretty much a day. But we're going to go ahead. We are going to hop in another flock draft. And it's a 3 max. So we in. We are in. We're pick 6. And let's smooth this over. Pick 6 should be nice. Here we should get a wide receiver. I mean, both other drafts, we've had to start with running backs, which just does make it a little bit awkward. But it is what it is. We got Daniel in at pick 8. Alec in at pick 4. TJ in at pick 12. Kadarius Toney going over 3 tonight. I'm sorry, my guy. I'm sorry. But hey, honestly, probably you're lucky. You're lucky there. I know y'all want to draft with me, but to be completely honest with you, your best odds are not drafting with me. Are you freaking kidding me? You're going to go up against the best drafter on the planet. I came out of the womb drafting fantasy football teams. I was, if y'all watched the league show on FX, I was the kid football, fantasy football guru before he hit puberty because he had nothing else to focus in on. That's me now. I've never hit puberty, okay? I'm in my mid-20s hoping one day it's going to come for me, but until that day comes, I will spend all waking moments I will spend every brain cell, every little thought I have will be about fantasy football. So, like I said, I'll be honest with you. The day I hit puberty, I'll let y'all know. And when that happens, maybe y'all should be excited to get in drafts with me. Until then, y'all should run for the hills. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown at pick 6. Okay. Yes, I came out of the womb. I didn't come out of the room drafting Trey Lance. Here's what happened. I came out of the womb. I looked over, and I saw a nurse hold up a little baby and go, "Welcome, Trey Lance, into this nice world. You're going to do great things." And my little baby brain, I heard that, and I went, "That's true." And we're waiting for it. All right. We are waiting for it. Okay. Yes, I came out of the womb wearing a dirty suit jacket that has not been washed in 2 years. 2 years is a little aggressive, but I was 1 day old wearing a 2-year dirty suit jacket with a gym t-shirt underneath. Okay. Now, Bijan Brees, Garrett Wilson goes to pick 7, which is pretty interesting. Personally, it'd be very tough for me to take Garrett Wilson over Brees Hall. I mean, personally, then it's kind of gone a little too far when you see that happening. But this is what it is. Devonta Smith goes there at pick 13 for the unique builds. Yeah, Smith exclusively going at the very end of round 2, very beginning of round 3. So, will definitely be a unique combo. George Pickens, pick 17. Was that... What happened there? Was that an auto draft? Did I miss something? George Pickens, pick 17. Dear God. But It is interesting. It is interesting. Jimothy said, I had someone take McCarthy at pick 104 in my draft today. That's somebody that's 8 years beat. I mean, God, that was bad. That's somebody that's 8 beers deep that is scrolling Twitter, seeing positive buzz, seeing McCarthy throw a touchdown in training camp, going, "Oh, yeah, he has Jefferson. He's a winner. This is happening." But Waddle goes 23. This is an interesting draft. I think George Pickens going there at 17 is going to make for some pretty unique combos. Let's move. Ronald says little draft is almost 60%. Dear God. What was the bad news about Sam Darnold? I did not hear anything about Darnold. God, how much news came out today? I'm trying my absolute best to stay on top of everything, and y'all are still. Young Krillo says, sounds like your 6 deers beat, Mason. Is anybody in this stream, do y'all remember whenever for my birthday stream back in 2020 when I streamed on my birthday? This is when I was an absolute broke college kid, and I thought it was the craziest thing in the world that I was making $1 off of fantasy football, which is still the craziest thing in the world. But I was doing a shot for every $20 donation. Do y'all remember that? And then the next year I said I wasn't going to do that. And we ended up shotgunning a beer for every $20. I don't even remember what it was, but it was brutal. Yeah, that day will probably not come again. But Scotty says, feels like a genius picking at Pickens at 44 now. Definitely a genius move. Juice McCaffrey says, Foreman neck injury has my exposures in shambles. I have no Foreman. I have a decent amount of Chubb. I have no Chubb in eliminator drafts, no Chubb in marathon contest, but specifically in sprints and Best Ball Mania, where we're really just shooting for weeks 15, 16, 17 points, I do have a decent amount of Chubb. I have actually a lot of Jerome Ford in eliminator contest, so it doesn't really hurt me too much. Teresa says, I remember during that stream, my mom just texted me like, stop this right now. Turn this off. Which, hindsight being 2020, was a very, very good advice. Kate says, anything specific that made you quit drinking? Not really. Well, so I never drink at all during the football season just because I really can't. I have to work too much. And then during the off season, I was doing the Ironman. So I was like, I'm not drinking until after the Ironman. And then it was like a year and a half where I went without having anything to drink. And then I was like, yeah, I get more work done. I feel better. I'm healthier. So probably don't need to do it anymore. So, I don't do any weekly winner contests on Underdog just because I have no idea what to do, to be honest with you. Like if I stepped in a weekly winner drafts on Underdog, I would just get freaking smoked. Let's see. Duke says, I was cleaning out my grandpa's liquor closet, making fajitas, and needed some rum last night. Turned out to be super top shelf, 151 proof. What is 151 proof? Let me pull this up. 151 proof. Is that Everclear? Alcohol percentage. Because regular liquor is 40%, right? 75%? How could you even get that down? How could you even get that down? That is disgusting. Quaid says, good night, Mason. Thanks for all the help. No, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. Really do appreciate you. And we're going to go ahead. We will take Zay Flowers here at pick 43. Should be a little bit of a unique combo with Flowers typically going at the 3-4 turn. And maybe, just maybe, we can send up a prayer that somehow we end up getting Lamar Jackson coming back around to us at 54. It's not happening, right? Any team there at pick 48, 49, 47, 50, I guess 45, maybe 52 will shoot for the Lamar Andrew stack. But Juice McCaffrey takes Mahomes there at 39. Interesting to take Mahomes there. I like it a ton, probably minus the Pacheco pick. Just because if you look at where the Chiefs receivers go now, if all three of the receivers are going to go at the 5-6 turn, you essentially guarantee yourself that you're at least going to get one of them. And if you want two, you can probably get two of them. Juice McCaffrey says, Mason, do you realize if you win the flock contest, they're going to say it's rigged? To be honest with you, whenever I won the Big Dog tournament and whenever I won the Bulldog 2 tournament, I was afraid that people were going to come out and like accuse me of like, oh, this is rigged, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think I got because, you know, obviously people on the internet a lot of times are unreasonable. And I don't think I got a single message about that. Like, so I think if I win the flock tournament, especially because I stream all this stuff, you know, but I don't think they will. I don't think they'll say it, to be honest. John says 75% talk about blacking out. I mean, I have some pretty good blackout stories. Probably not good for the live stream. My thing with drinking is I would never drink often, but when I would, I was not the kind of person that could have a single, like, I would never be able to be the person to have a single drink. I couldn't do that. Like, if I was like, I hate the taste of it. If I drink, the only reason I was going to drink was to feel something. So we're going to go Jaden Reed. I probably have an issue taking too much Jaden Reed in this range. Maybe we need to mix in more Calvin Ridley. Like I said, we're underweight both Tennessee wide receivers at the moment. But maybe with Hopkins' injury, we start taking Ridley middle round 5 here. But yeah, I was never a person that could have a single beer. Like, if I was going to have one, I need to have 10. So obviously that is no bueno. I mean, it would happen very rarely. Like, I'd probably drink 3 times a year. Minus like 2 years in college, but obviously that doesn't count. I'm talking about adult life here. But yeah, those 3 or 4 days, I'm not missing out on anything. I'd rather try to do another Ironman. Okay. Angel says, I feel like a unique builds like that is better served in a huge puppy league. 100%. I agree with you. Like, I think that there are some things that people focus in on, specifically in smaller field contests, that only apply to larger field contest. So if you're looking at, say, the high stakes drafts that I do, as an example, like a lot of the high stakes drafts that we do, that we've won multiple in the past, I don't think anybody else can say that on Underdog, we go a little more running back heavy. Because if you look at the point distribution of what you're going to expect in a smaller field contest, it kind of makes more sense to just take running backs with guaranteed volume in comparison to the super large field contests like the Puppy and Best Ball Mania. Same thing is if you look at some of these smaller field contests where if you look at the total teams that are actually in play in weeks 15, 16, 17, a lot of times it doesn't matter at all about having week 16, 17 bringbacks where it does in Best Ball Mania. So it's really important to understand like and the same thing, the puppy tournament. It makes a lot of sense to go through and try to have a unique combo of a player where maybe in the smaller field contest, it doesn't matter as much. So I agree. I think it's very important to understand the tournament you're stepping into and the nuances and not treating every tournament like it's Best Ball Mania, because if you do that, probably not going to have a ton of success. A-Rod says, Xavier Worthy got roughed up on press today. I thought I saw that yesterday. Was that today or yesterday? Okay, so let's move this over. I was hoping that we were going to get George Kittle making it to us in round 6. Sadly, it does not happen, so we whiff on all the tight ends that are interesting. And we'll see if... we get Rashad White here at 67, so let's go for it. Just an awkward spot, right? No quarterback, no tight end through the first 6 rounds. Not something I'm used to. Now, what's nice is we still have quarterback options that are pretty decent for us here. We have Jordan Love. We have Caleb Williams. We have Jared Goff. So it's not like we're going to be completely boxed out at QB. So we'll see what happens. Vinny says, video was yesterday. Pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, it was a tough look. If we begin to get a discount in drafts because of it, I'll be excited. I'll draft a lot of them, but it was a tough look. John says, one time in college for semi-formal, our bus was going to pick us up at 3 a.m. to New Orleans. I drank a little too much and woke up in NOLA. My date was pretty pissed, left my phone, bag, and belongings. I was like a homeless dude for 5 days. That is nuts, my guy. That is nuts. Teresa lives in NOLA. Hopefully, Teresa gave you $1 when you were looking for your stuff. Hopefully. Laszlo says, when are you doing that fantasy league with the other fantasy creators? So, I should probably need to say this more. Flock Draft Week is going to be August 19th through the 23rd. We're going to do a ton of cool stuff, ton of videos, a ton of live streams with a bunch of creators going to come on in person. I got us a super big Airbnb. Going to be a lot of fun. And let me see. I'm just trying to find the poster for it. Where is this bad boy? But yeah, and also so we're going to do the big league draft probably on the 22nd or the 21st. And if you are wanting to come to the meetup and meet everybody, there should be even more people that just are on the poster. It's going to be August 22nd, Austin, Texas, 6:30 p.m. at Holdout Brewery. Should be a ton of fun. Super cool venue. We're going to take Evan Ingram. Not a big Evan Ingram guy, but it does give us a potential Lawrence pairing later, and we need to be setting that up with how this team looks at quarterback. But anyway, should be a ton of fun. Really hope y'all can come out. I'm sorry that we have to do tickets. I just have to tell the venue how many people are going to be there. I'm going to be giving away free merch and everything. I'm losing money on it. I want to hang out with y'all. But if you do want to come, grab a ticket on flockfantasy.store. Especially get that early so I can tell the venue how many people are going to be there. But yeah, I agreed also to get the venue to hook everybody up with half off beer, which should be a lot of fun. Hopefully it's not too much fun. But yeah, make sure you look at that. Jewish McCaffrey says, how much would you drop Hopkins in your ranks with this injury? So I think it's a completely different story based off the tournament that you're in. If it's this Flock tournament that just launched today, post-injury news, I don't really care about drafting Hopkins. If it's Best Ball Mania, where the vast majority of the teams in the fields are going to have DeAndre Hopkins in round 6, and all of a sudden I can take DeAndre Hopkins at the 8-9 turn, I'll probably be drafting a lot of DeAndre Hopkins. Just for the ADP closing line value that we're going to get there. But I don't know. In a regular redraft league, I can go ahead and pull up where I had him ranked previously in our wide receiver rankings. And honestly, I need to drop him down now. I probably need to drop him down now and move up Ridley now. So I can talk through this with y'all. So what I'm talking about right now is just redraft. It's not going to be best ball specific. Like I said, I'd probably draft Hopkins a little bit earlier in Best Ball Mania or any of these underdog tournaments that the vast majority of teams have already been drafted with Hopkins at a higher ADP. But if I don't care about any of that and I'm just going off rankings right now, I previously had DeAndre Hopkins at, I'm in Dynasty right now. I was like, where the hell is this guy? Let me go over to our 2024 rankings. I previously had Calvin Ridley, wide receiver 33. And I had DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver 42. I'm going to move Hopkins behind Deontay Johnson, JSN, Ladd, Keon, Addison. I'll probably move Hopkins down to wide receiver 49. And Ridley versus Keenan, Godwin, Reed. I probably want to move Ridley ahead of Godwin and Reed. I'm sorry, Godwin and Keenan. Probably Ridley up to wide receiver 31. Okay. Now, Ramadre goes 89. Smooth this over. Okay, so Burrow not in play for us. I'm not taking Curtis Samuel. No Josh Allen. DeAndre Swift, maybe. Just trying to think this out loud. Not reaching on Dak here. Jordan Love, we can get in the way back around. So yeah, we're going to go ahead. We'll take DeAndre Swift as our RB3. Yeah, obviously Curtis Samuel should be more valuable in best ball just given the offense that he's attached to. But it is really funny to see the Curtis Samuel ADP in regular draft platforms and then compare that to Underdog with where he's going. Because, I mean, it is a night and day difference. Okay, let's move this down. Naeem says, Mason, is this your first community tournament on Underdog? Yes, it is. Which I'm hoping we can do more. I'm assuming we can hopefully do more, but I just can't guarantee anything right now. Okay. DeAndre Swift off the board, 91. Burrow goes... I like how I say, oh, DeAndre Swift off the board, 91, as if I didn't just take DeAndre Swift. And I'm just completely lost. I'm just trying to think of if we can finish this ADP consensus thing tonight and include it in the email that we're going to send out. Jordan Love goes 98. Is that to the Christian Watson team? That's to a team with no Packers, but it is what it is. We're used to it at this point. This team is Josh Allen, CJ Stroud. They go Tony Pollard. I'm going to be okay taking David Njoku here. I think when we have Evan Ingram, David Njoku, it puts us in a position where we're only going to have to draft 2 tight ends. I kind of want to be in that position because it's a team that's for sure going to have to take 3 QBs. So, yeah, let's go ahead and let's lock it in. Okay. Let's move this down. Kate says, having got Henry in the 40s before pick 29 is disgusting to me. The only time that I've taken Derrick Henry in an underdog draft where we're optimizing for the final 3 weeks is when he's fallen to the 4th round. I have mixed in Derrick Henry some in round 3 in the marathon contest because that's just total points scored weeks 1 through 17. And I've mixed in Derrick Henry in the eliminator contest in round 3. But outside of that, I mean, I would just way rather have, at least pre-injury, obviously we need more information regarding the injury, but I'd way rather have Josh Jacobs round 5. Yeah, I have 4% Derrick Henry at the moment versus 11% Josh Jacobs. Okay. Shakir. Raphael says, Mason, how much was your 3-year underdog contract worth? I'm going to, if I tell y'all, for the love of God, do not share this outside of this live stream. I told them I'd continue to draft underdog teams for the next 3 years. If, and only if, I don't know, I can't think of a joke. I was going to say they sent me to Turkey to get a new hairline, but I talk about my hairline every single live stream. So at this point, it sounds like it's all I think about, but it's an easy go-to joke. And then I panicked, pivoted, couldn't come up with another joke. Tough. Oh, okay. Yeah, Juice McCaffrey, $1 billion. Dr. Evil style. Oh, okay. Let's move. Okay, so, and we can still go Caleb Williams, right? I mean, this is a big thing that we talked about previously when we were setting ourselves up with these receivers. We have DJ Moore, so we're going to go ahead. We will take Caleb Williams here, pick 115, whenever we whiffed previously on grabbing someone like Jordan Love. Okay. Now, yes. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, DJ Moore, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed. Running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, Rashad White, DeAndre Swift. Tight end, we have Evan Ingram, David Njoku. And quarterback, we have Caleb Williams. Okay. Gus Edwards goes 119. Brian says, we get a Belichick collab soon. Yeah, so like I said, Belichick's actually going to come stay with me for the rest of the summer. And I told Underdog if they gave us this tournament, I would let Belichick on the live stream to draft some teams with us. So my assistant's going to go pick him up at the airport, I think on Sunday. I'm going to have to get him media trained a bit. So we're sending him to my West Wing. And I have my team working on him. Obviously, you know, like old people on the internet, it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle, but I'm assuming we can get him up to speed within like a week or two, and then he'll come join us on the live stream. But we'll see. I mean, my people are pretty good at it. Now, let's move this over. Lawrence would for sure be in play for us. Like we said, we took Evan Ingram previously, just in case we whiffed on all these other quarterbacks. But Lawrence will be in play. Jared Goff would potentially be in play. Lawrence goes 122 to the same team that took Jordan Love. But this time they have Christian Kirk, so it does make sense. Trey says not as much as I'm being paid to be the backup. Dear God, I'm not going to lie. I saw the Trey interception today. I saw that there was a clip of Trey Lance going viral, and I went, ooh, inject this into my veins. I can't wait to see what this is. And then I pulled it up, and it's just pass straight to the defensive back. Not even, it doesn't even let your mind wander of where that ball is going to go. It's just, it's tough. It's tough. Okay. So we're going to go ahead. We will take Jared Goff to pair up with Amon-Ra St. Brown. And at this point, I'd still honestly maybe end up going with 3 quarterbacks. If we do take a third quarterback, it's going to be someone at the very end of this draft. But yeah, we're definitely only taking 2 tight ends. We need to play catch up at wide receiver pretty soon. We're only sitting with St. Brown, DJ Moore, Zay Flowers, Gene Reed. But y'all know, typically, good rule of thumb is draft wide receivers going into year 2 that had a good rookie season. So let's move this over. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, DJ Moore, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed. Running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, Rashad White, DeAndre Swift. Tight end, we have Evan Ingram, David Njoku. And quarterback, we have Caleb Williams, Jared Goff. Okay. Cousins goes. I just don't even know what we want on the way back around here. Yeah, football season definitely feels like it's back. Now that I think about it, I'm actually going to need to, after this, I'm going to have to record some like short form TikToks for the editor too with injury news and stuff like Geno Smith. Dear God, there's so much going on. It feels weird because we've been doing drafts every day for the past few months. And the draft boards have looked the same in pretty much every instance. And all of a sudden, just within such a short period, a ton's changing that we're having to react to. Pat Frymuth goes 136. Like we said, wide receiver's probably going to be in play for us here at 139. I would have preferred Judy out of these options. Between Gabe Davis, Dotson, Leggett, I think Gabe Davis, Leggett are my favorite options. Royce Freeman actually got some buzz out of Dallas, but then in a follow-up thing, I saw that it was kind of buzz specifically centered around his special teams usage, which, I mean, obviously, if we'd rather have no buzz at all, but they're saying, oh, Royce Freeman, yeah, great player for us, great football guy. He's going to be able to help us out on special teams. I don't know if that matters too much in regards of fantasy football, of course. Okay. Let's go ahead. Let's move this down. So Dotson, Leggett, Rico Dowdle, Luke Musgrave. I mean, definitely good for us to see tight ends go. Judd says, Mason, what you think about Tyler Boyd with Hopkins' injury? Honestly didn't even think about Boyd. It's obviously Boyd doesn't matter at all in redraft. Best ball, definitely somebody that should probably get drafted in every draft now, where previously he was like, okay, he's at the top of ADP in round 18, but do you take him or not? But good question. I think you probably need to. The thing is, too, if you think, I don't know how many drafts Boyd would have gone undrafted in this offseason. But I was just going through a hypothetical right now. I mean, by right now, I mean a couple hours ago. If Justin Fields were to be announced today as the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, where do you take him in Best Ball Mania drafts? Because I would make an argument that because he has not been drafted in a lot of BBM fields, that you probably need to take him ahead of Stafford, ahead of Cousins, ahead of Lawrence, ahead of Tua, ahead of Goff. I think Fields would jump up to being like a round 10, round 9 pick. Justin Herbert dealing with an injury. Honestly, we could go Herbert QB3 here. If it wasn't for me really liking Tyler Algier in this range, I probably would go Justin Herbert. But we'll go Herbert instead. VP says he won't last as the starter. He's terrible. I agree, and y'all know, I mean, I have gotten an ungodly amount of hate from Chicago Bears fans over the years for me saying that Justin Fields is not good. Because, I mean, there's something about Justin Fields that just makes people so damn excited. But from a fantasy football perspective, it doesn't freaking matter. If he's going to come out and he's going to run the ball for 50, 60 rushing yards a game, the man will be viable in fantasy. Manda Panda says, RIP to all the girlfriends spending National Girlfriend Day by themselves so their boyfriend could draft. Is today, I'm not joking about this, is today National Girlfriend Day? I don't know why I'm acting like I missed a special day. It's not like my girlfriend and I have ever celebrated National Girlfriend Day. But I was nice to her today. We went to dinner. Okay, well, it is. We went to dinner. It was an expensive dinner too, so well, not too bad. Not too bad. TJ says, my girlfriend sent that. Mason, ignore that. All right, TJ, not going to lie to you here, my guy. I would say it's a worse look for you to be watching me draft fantasy football teams on National Girlfriend Day and then instead of spending time with your girlfriend than it is for me to be working during National Girlfriend Day. I have an excuse. I can tell the girlfriend, oh, I'm sorry. I'd love to hang out with you. I got to work, you know, the boss be telling me what I need to do, but you have no excuse. Pokemon Deck Review says, got Baba Bob's Michelin star restaurant. If you are close enough to get Cabo Bob's, my guy, you better be going to the Flock meetup. All right. Go to the Flock meetup, bring me a double fish burrito, and I'll buy you a beer. All right. You better be going. August 22nd, my guy. Austin, Texas. I know they have Cabo Bob's in San Antonio now. My guy, San Antonio is a short drive over. I'll see you. Dr. Squatch says, does she watch the streams, Mason? I'm not going to lie. It would be so, if I found out that she watches these live streams, that would be one of the weirdest things ever. If we spent like all day together and then I went to live stream for like a couple hours every night and she sat here watching me say stupid things drafting a fantasy football team, I'd be like, what are you doing? We're going to go ahead. We will take Deshaun Watson. We're going to take Watson, pair him up with Njoku. Like I said, kind of fine taking 3 quarterbacks here, considering our first quarterback we don't go with until round 10. But now we are exclusively wide receivers, running backs for the rest of this. Okay. Juice McCaffrey says, will he be at the Dog Bowl live final? Is that... So last year, there was the Dog Bowl that was like the... it's kind of like the Battle Royale format, right? Unless I'm mistaken. And they had the live final for it in Miami. Is this year the live final in Dallas? Because they told me that something's going on in Dallas. If so, I'm invited. It's just very hard for me to do things during the season. Just because we're streaming every day. But... let's see. Young Krilo says, I love Cabo Bob. So my friend, if you're in Austin, you better be at the Flock meetup. All right. If anybody here has been able to go to Cabo Bob's or lives close to a Cabo Bob's, you live close enough to go to the Flock meetup. And I have John taking notes of the people in this chat that are outing themselves, saying that they live close enough. And if we don't see you there, you will get muted permanently in this chat. We're going to go Antonio Gibson, and then we'll take wide receivers in the final 3 rounds. Young Krilo, I live in Austin. Okay, my guy. You better be at the meetup. Get a ticket so you're not like John. You're not just standing on the outside begging to come in. Tickets are on flockfantasy.store. I'll hook you up with free merch. I'll hook you up with half off beer. I just need to tell the venue how many people are coming. Okay. Let's move this over. John says, next flock meetup after this one at Luby's. Okay, I don't know how big of a... This is... John, I am so much on the same page with you here. I don't know how niche this is. I don't know how big Luby's is. I know it's a chain. I don't know if it's national. But Luby's is like an old like cafeteria style restaurant that you would go and like in line. It's like a bunch... It's a thing for a bunch of old people. And you go in line, you tell the lady, like, oh, I want that. And then she puts it on your tray, you slide it over. Oh, I want that. She puts it on your tray, you slide it over, you pay at the end. I went to Luby. I used to go growing up with my grandparents. And I went to Luby's like 2 years ago with my grandma. And it was, delicious. Even better than I remember. The issue is they're all shutting down. John, in Austin, is there an active Luby's? I would love to go to Luby's, but girlfriend doesn't like it. Yes, we do need a Flock Tourney 2.0 for tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, probably a little bit tough. Maybe I'm hoping that Underdog will let us do it like once a week. I don't know if I can ask for tomorrow night, though. Maybe a little bit of a stretch. A-Rod says Luby's slept on. Nothing like that homemade kitchen. Luby's is my girlfriend. Like every time I've had this conversation with her, and she refuses to go to Luby's, even though I would love to. Speaking of Tyler Boyd, might as well sneak him in. Let's go ahead and let's take Tyler Boyd here. Probably don't need to take him this early, but all the other players top 80 pure falling. Okay. Let's see. Young Krillo planning on going for sure. Hell yes, my friend. Happy to hear it. And I know, going back to Cabo Bob's, I know y'all, this is the point of the live stream where I'm completely off the rails. We've been drafting teams for 2 hours, all right? Let me talk about it. I just want to hang out and talk with y'all. But anyway, I know I've said this story a ton, especially, I don't know if y'all know this, but I actually made a YouTube channel just called Mason Dodd at the beginning of the offseason when I was bored, and I was just posting my Ironman training vlogs, and I definitely told the story then on that because I would go to Cabo Bob's all the time. But I used my ex-girlfriend back whenever it was like I first started going to UT. Her parents were military, so she had a military ID. And at Cabo Bob's back in the day, you used to be able to get, and just let you know, Cabo Bob's is like Austin's version of Chipotle. I would make an argument it's much better than Chipotle, but in your mind, you can just pretend like it's Chipotle of 5 years ago when Chipotle used to be good. But anyway, super, like a better version of Chipotle, blah, blah, blah. But if you had a military ID, you got 50% off. And I was in college, and I was on the powerlifting team. I was trying to gain as much weight as I possibly could. So I would just beg her every single day to go to Cabo Bob's with me so we could use her half off military ID and get off. And I gained so much weight. And I have a good plucker story for y'all too. But that may have to go. That may have to wait a night. Remind me one of these other nights to give you all the plucker story, but I need to send out the draft guide. I need to post it on the site. I need to get the ADP consensus done. So I am going to do all of that. Thank you so much, everybody, for drafting with us tonight. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, of course, I'm going to be doing this every single night and pretty much till the end of time. So if you wanted to join a draft with us, these are best ball drafts, no time commitment at all during the year. It's how I draft hundreds of teams every offseason. It's how I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And yeah, you can find that link in the description, in the comment section, in the live chat. If you use code FLOCK when you sign up to Underdog, you will get our 2024 Fantasy Football Draft Guide updated every week until the season starts with updated rankings. You'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. And at the same time, we actually got y'all hooked up with this special Flock tournament. And to celebrate, everybody use code FLOCK on Underdog, whether it's 3 years ago, yesterday, today, tomorrow, a week from now, you will get Christian McCaffrey, higher, lower, half a total rushing yard for week 1. I think that's all I got for you. Really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day, and really hope we get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow night.